Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for your time, man. Now, Obituary, killer new record out, dying for everything. You guys have been pretty active as far as touring, because we saw you with, I think I saw you with BLS, and then recently with Amon Amarth, and now you're doing headlining. So tell us a little bit about maybe some of the supporting slots, because, you guys slotted in pretty well there. The BLS one, I was kind of curious how that would go over. What was your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a breath of fresh air, honestly, because for 20 years, Obituary was the headlining band, and in the late 90s and in the 2000s, we were always the band that was playing last. We were always headlining. So the minute we got, we started getting offers to support, it was awesome. It was just exactly what we needed. It was what we wanted, and putting ourselves in front of fans that aren't necessarily death metal fans. Like you said, BLS. It was a very calculated decision to say yes to that tour, knowing that we were going to get in front of a bunch of Zach fans. They're heavy metal fans, but they don't know Florida death metal. They definitely don't know Obituary. So it was that challenge we were looking for, and it was awesome because they had the blank stare face when we started the show. 2 songs into it, you kind of see them like, and then by the end of the set, they're clapping and having a good time, and that was very refreshing for us. And the same goes for the Amon Amarth tour. Again, heavy metal fans for sure, diehard heavy metal fans, but not necessarily very familiar with Obituary. And it was the same feeling, man. We really took that challenge and went with it, and had an absolute blast trying to win some new friends and fans over. And then not to mention what wonderful people that the Amon Amarth dudes are. They're just amazing, good friends of ours. We toured with them a decade ago, and to do it again with them in America, and it was just awesome.
Now, what kind of measures or steps did you guys take when you have these supporting slots? Obviously, the Amon Amarth, they're the heavier. They're familiar with the heavier end of things. Where with the BLS crowd, you guys probably had to do a little something different to kind of get things going there.
Yeah, good question. I mean, and it's the obvious. We are a heavy. We do have some heavy songs in our catalog. So we knew we had to pick and choose and grab some of those groove, mid-tempo songs that we know that BLS fans are going to hopefully enjoy. And we didn't come at them with a bunch of stuff from 35 years ago. We tried to pick the meat and potatoes, like we like to call it, and grab them songs that have some groove to it and the catchy kind of riffs. And then we picked the set list for that. Amon Amarth, we got a little bit more aggressive, and we did bring in some older songs. By then, we were playing the single "The Wrong Time" off of "Dying of Everything," and so it worked out very well. Again, the challenge was there. We were more than happy to take on that challenge, and I think it was very successful tours since the opening of the pandemic. I mean, we've probably been the busiest band on the planet since then, doing over 130 shows since the world opened back up. So we've been busy boys.
Yeah, you have, and you're going to continue being busy. But first, you guys did a couple streaming shows. So tell me about those, and how do you think those went?
Yeah, this was the 4th attempt of doing streams. The first ones were obviously because of the pandemic, and we just learned what a live stream was 2 years ago. And it was awesome, and it was a fun experience. We realized it was something special, and so we equipped our studio with the video software and the 7 GoPro cameras to give everyone the multi-camera angles. And since we own that technology now, we love doing them. So the world is back open. It's not a pandemic world anymore, but again, we have so much fun doing them that we went for it again just this weekend, and it was awesome. It's a challenge. It keeps the band on the balls of our feet. It keeps us on our toes, and it keeps us practicing, and it keeps us thinking and being creative. And this weekend was just an absolute blast. We did it on Saturday. We played what we called the Hillbilly Hits, which was the ones we knew, all the fan favorites, playing Chopped in Half and Stuff Off Cause of Death and Slowly Rot. And then on Sunday, we played the entire new album. And that was just incredible because the album's very fresh in our minds. And we had to really work hard at rehearsing those new songs and getting them down pat, ready for a live stream. And the challenge was there. And again, we did a great job at what we needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I get the hits. That was a fun performance. The one when you performed the new record, though, I mean, really challenging, I imagine. And then that probably also lent itself for an opportunity to see how some of those tunes would go over live when you guys hit the road.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. We were lucky enough. We just came back from Europe. We were on tour in Europe with Trivium, Heaven Shall Burn, and Malevolence, and the album was out the day of the first show. So we were lucky enough to get our feet wet and start to play some of those new songs live. And then we were smart enough and fortunate enough, after the European tour, we flew to London to do one sold out show at the Electric Ballroom in London, in Camden. And it was a amazing night, and we played 7 of the new songs. So we got our feet wet with the new songs, but you are correct. With the live stream, it did give us the opportunity to play songs off the new album and to really get an idea what we know is going to be a good live song, and then the ones that are going to be challenging live. And we're always a band to take the challenge. So 11 albums into this, we've been around for quite some time, and we know what songs are going to be really good live, but we're also going to challenge ourselves and play some of those ones that are a little bit tough to play live, the faster ones, the ones with more riffs and stuff. And we're looking forward to this challenge.
Nice. And then you put a couple of live albums out too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tell me about that and how long those were in the making.
Yeah, so the live albums was a product of the live streams again, because the very first ones, the first live streams that we did 2 years ago was the obvious. We wanted to do the most awesome ones we possibly could. So the first weekend we played Slowly We Rot in its entirety, and the second weekend we played our second album, Cause of Death. And the thing that was so killer about that is we didn't own the technology yet for the live streams. We just learned what they were. So a friend of ours that's the boss at a company that does all the PA systems for Central Florida, he called me and he said, dude, we're in the same boat, all our he said, I'm sitting on $4 million worth of PA systems, and we're stuck for the pandemic as well because there's no concerts going on. So they were nice enough to set up their warehouse with a stage and one of the most ripping systems that there is, a brand new Pro Tools rig for us to live stream. We flew our sound guy from New York. His name's Joe Sincata. He did the last 2 albums with us. So we flew Joe in to do them with us, and they came out so killer sounding, and they were multi-tracked. So they were basically like an album, and we knew we were sitting on gold here. So the idea was there. Let's mix them, let's master them, and let's get these things out as live albums, because the band did perform those 2 albums very well, and they came out great, and we wanted to share that with the fans, and we did, and it's been a dream.
Yeah, I picked both of those up and they're awesome. I mean, it
Cool.
again, kind of this is kind of my second run with Obituary. I know there was a period of time where I just kind of drifted away, but then rediscovered the band, and oh wow, what a time to rediscover. One of the things that I wasn't quite up to speed on is kind of what happened with the hiatus, or did the band actually disband for a bit? But then you guys came back in 03.
Yeah.
And if you can fill us in a little bit on that, because I'm not quite up to speed on that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to realize that this is going on. People say, wow, you've been around for 30 years, but we wrote the demo tape in 1984. We were in the studio in 1985 as young kids with the band Executioner. We were just beginning. So long story, this is 4 decades almost as a band. So when you've been a band this long, you're going to have a hiatus, and that's all it was. We did it for so many years. We did it for 4 albums and so many world tours. that we finally came home, and it was not the band making a decision to take a break. We didn't break up. We didn't dismantle. We simply just got away from the music scene for a little while. And 1 year turned into 2 years, 2 years turned into four. And the next thing everyone's kind of grown up now and having children and families. Myself, I was just still playing drums and practicing. That's when Andrew WK entered my life as a teenager. He wrote me a letter in 1999, and he just said, I have some music. You're one of my favorite drummers. I love Obituary. So I met Andrew, and I was very proud to do the first two albums with him, and I toured with him for 5 years. And then, of course, Obituary got back together. And so many fans know it just, after 35, 36 years together, a break here and there is actually a good thing. And the really good thing about it is it was a great time for us to recharge. It was a great time for us to just reflect on how killer it is to be a band and to be able to be in a band and make a living being in a band. So the fire was there. We did one show when I was on tour with Andrew on Ozfest 20 years ago. I can't believe it's already been 20 years. It was his idea. He said, "Hey man, we're playing in Miami." Me and him were on the Ozfest, and we were playing Miami. He said, "Do you think your brother and Trevor would want to come and in your hometown, like a hometown feel, and play some Obituary songs on stage?" And I asked the guys, and we did it. And Obituary never looked back. The band got back together. We did an album, and then here it is, 19 years later, and we're stronger than ever, and we're just having a blast.
That's amazing. So he was somewhat instrumental in kind of getting the band back together, huh?
He was
awesome.
the match. He was the match that start the fire again.
Yeah, right. Out of curiosity, what was your favorite tune to perform with Andrew WK?
It just was a challenge for me because, my band is my band. I've been doing that since I was a teenager. So his music was a different style drumming. Just, people would think it's more basic, but it was very challenging because it was in ears. It was playing to a click track on stage, and that was fun. The obvious answer to that was, you can't get enough of playing the song Party Hard. It's a killer song. Obviously the crowds go crazy. Andrew's the dude that invites people on stage. So sometimes there was 40 and 50 people on stage, just knocking into all the equipment and gear and stuff. And here I am with my in-ears playing to a click track, trying to stay focused. So that was a challenge. But, also the song She Is Beautiful. Just a wonderfully written song, very challenging, just so well written. I really did love playing that song live on stage.
Nice. With Obituary, there's something a bit different than most of your contemporaries. As far as influences, who's responsible for the influences of Obituary? Because it's got a Southern vibe to it. So you guys are different in that regard.
Yeah, and it goes back to, again, almost a 40-year career. So in the late 70s, when I was just a child and I was just learning drums and I was falling in love with music, I wasn't into heavy metal. I was into Southern rock. I was a Florida boy. I was listening to Leonard Skinner, Molly Hatchet, Blackfoot, Charlie Daniels, Ted Nugent, Queen, Led Zeppelin. So that's where the roots of my music came from. And then, of course, heavy metal entered my life. And so those two paired. But, my DNA, my young upbrings of music and learning as a drummer, it was John Bonham, and it was Led Zeppelin, and it was and then it was the Southern rock. It was Leonard Skinner and Molly Hatchet that really grabbed my attention. And so those stuck with me, even though Slayer, Venom, Celtic Frost, and Hellhammer all then ruined me as a Southern rock lover. I fell in love with heavy metal, and that's those two paired, and I think it made a great combination.
Nice. Well, and would you be offended if maybe some of your idols would be horrified that this is what they produced?
Yeah, maybe. It was funny. I met Tommy Aldridge, my brother and I, backstage at one of the summer festivals in Europe. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. I told John, I'm like, dude, Tommy Aldridge. I mean, that's Ozzy. That's why that's one of the reasons I'm a drummer. And so I went up to him and I was so nervous. And I was like, dude, I was like, Tommy, me and my brother just want to say hello, you know, and I want to let you know you are the reason. You're the reason we are a band.
Right.
And his reply to me was, don't blame that on me, man.
Now, was he with Whitesnake at the time, or what?
Yeah, he was.
Oh.
It was with Whitesnake.
Okay.
Yeah, he was drumming
right.
for Whitesnake. We were at one of the big festivals in Europe,
Right.
and I just came in for a nice handshake,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was on the back of his drum riser warming up. We were already finished with our show. We played at 4 p.m. that day, and they were getting ready to start. It was probably about 8 p.m. that night. So he was on the back of his drum riser, kind of, gathering his thoughts, putting his in-ears in. And we, I've been in the business for a long time. I knew not to be a punisher. And but I just wanted to express how much we love him and what his drumming did for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just awesome because I shook his hand, but then he actually stood up and he came over. He didn't stand up. He came over. My brother wanted to shake his hand as well, but we were already done for the day. So my brother had a draft beer, and Tommy came in for a hug with my brother, and my brother spilt his beer on Tommy's lap.
Oh no!
So Tommy had to play. Tommy had to play with beer crotch for that Whitesnake show, I'm sure.
Wow. Hey, Terry Butler. I mean, a huge fan of his. He's part of the rhythm section. What's it like to play with that guy?
Yeah, he's a legend. He's the kindest, most soft-spoken, quietest dude you would meet in real life. He's a monster on stage. He's so solid as a bass player. He's such a cool band member because he's always got your back, whether it's merch booth stuff, grabbing merch on tour, helping things out, loading the trailer, just everything. And look at the size of the guy. You are not afraid if something happened on the backstage, in the backstage,
right.
or on the bus. Terry will handle things. But honestly, he's just such a good dude. He's so kind, and he doesn't say much. Mm-hmm. And if you know Terry, if you know him close enough, you know that when he doesn't say much, but when he does say something, it is the most sarcastic and sometimes raunchy shit that you would never even consider thinking in your own mind. He's just the funniest dude. He's really quiet, but when he speaks, sometimes he's the dude. He is that friend that makes you spit milk out your nose. He's that guy, because when he says something, it's just usually so ridiculous.
Right. So solid bassist, funny guy, and he also fills in as bodyguard.
Yeah, he does, man.
Hey, do you have a good Ralph Santola story? I mean, he was part of the band there for a little bit, and obviously his history with various different bands. I mean, everything from Iced Earth to Obituary and everything in between. Anything on him?
Well, bottom line is, Ralph, for me, because I've been around for a long time and Ralph was around for even longer. Ralph was that dude that when I was really young, I was a Morris Sound Studios kid. I was running around, and Ralph was at the studio even earlier than I was, because he was part of the Tampa scene. He was older than all of us, so he was that dude. But the thing I'm going to remember most about Ralph is his guitar playing, his absolute genius guitar playing, and his talent. Talent flew out of that guy's fingers like nothing I've seen before. It was probably about like being able to hang out with Michael Schenker. I've never seen guitar playing and phrasing and just shredding that. I've never witnessed anything like that before. And my brother and myself engineered those albums, the two albums that Ralph did with us.
Right.
And so to be able to sit with Ralph at the computer and record his solos for those two albums was just absolutely amazing. And again, Ralph was, again, a legend. He was a walking legend. He was a sarcastic, nothing would get past Ralph. If there was a punchline or a joke, Ralph was the first one to say it. Here's just one. I mean, of thousands. When Ralph got in the band, we were about to make the post and to introduce the fans around the world to Obituary's new guitar player. And it was Ralph's idea. He's like, hey man, how about if you literally say, and then so what Ralph wanted us to say was, obituary was looking, and he said, just let's say it like this. You know what? When we knew we needed a new guitar player, we wanted the best. It turns out that guy already has a band, so we got Ralph.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And of course, that just goes to show Ralph's humor,
Yeah.
his dry sense of humor, and what a fun dude he was. If anyone got to hang out with Ralph, even for 1 hour or one night, you just know what a blast he had in life. He only lived to 56 years old, but in those 56 years and 25 of those years he toured, he lived 2 lifetimes. And
right.
anyone and everyone that knows Ralph knows that I'm correct when I say that. Every day, every hour, and every minute of Ralph's life, he had a blast. Right. And again, all it boils down to is what a talent, what an amazing guitar player.
Mm-hmm. I can't let you go without asking you about your cat rescue. How did you get involved with that? And obviously that's something that you're really passionate about. So it's kind of cool to see a death metal dude totally into like cuddly little cats,
Yeah, honestly, it's funny how many death metal dudes are into cuddly cats now that I've been, doing the Metal Meowlicia for 17 years now, and so it's funny. It's funny how quickly, George from Corpse Grinder or Steve from Deicide, the minute they start talking about their cats or their pets, how poopy doopy schmoopy doopy they start getting. It's great, man. But I'll keep it short because I know people have heard me talk about the Meowlicia for a long time, and this is about music. So, but it's something I do and I'm very passionate about. I live in Florida. In Florida, there's no hard winter time, so there's no freezing. So cats breed year round. So the feral cat population problem is an issue. And I just learned 15 years ago how to help stop the population problem, which is through the Humane Society. They have a program called Trap, Neuter, Return, and it's exactly what that sounds like. They let you borrow a trap. You find the spots where cats are hanging out. Cats live in colonies. If it's an overpopulated colony, you trap them. It's just a very simple trap that they walk into for some food. The door closes behind them. You get them fixed. When they recover, you return them right where you trapped them. So they know where they are. They can still live their lives, but now they're sterile. If they're females, they no longer can get pregnant. If they're males, they get their balls snipped and they don't want to go out there and fight and injure themselves. And I've been doing that for 17 years. And after that many years, I just learned all my colonies. So now I take care of about 30 colonies of cats, anywhere from only 2 cats to 20 cats. And before I have my dinner every night, I do my rounds. It's about 2 hours. I'm kind of like Meals on Wheels for the homeless. I stop in behind bowling alleys and behind restaurants and behind apartment complexes. I check on my colonies and check on cats, and I provide them with food and fresh water. And then, of course, I monitor the colonies. Any new cats that show up, I get them fixed. Any kittens that happen to show up that are under about 2 months old, I get them out of there. We rescue them. We socialize them. We get them vaccinated, and then they go into an adoption program. And I've made it a tremendous difference in my right in my surrounding neighborhood and my community. So something very proud of that I do. But it's just one of those things I felt the need to do, and it is very rewarding when you do see that you made a difference. So that's what the Meowlicia does. So anybody that wants to check it out, our socials, if you just look up Meowlicia or Metal Meowlicia, you'll find what we do. And then any kind people out there that wanted to donate, I have a PayPal that's set up, and it's obituary.cc. So it's just help cats at obituary.cc is the PayPal.
I said you're literally hurting cats. So there you go. Yeah. Out of curiosity, though, how many cats do you personally have yourself as your personal pets? And is there a particular breed of cat that you have or that you desire?
Well, for the first question, I plead the fifth because it is a rescue house that I have. But my pets, they're all rescues. They're all the ones that needed help. They're all the special needs cats, the ones that were either abused or the ones that were just unadoptable. So that I wasn't going to turn my back on
Mhm.
on them. And so, you know, my cat is a rescue house. I call it my zoo, and it is a multi-cat house. I'll just keep it at that. And then my colonies, it's 30 different colonies, and it's about nowadays, because it's been years and some of them are getting old, and you know, the
Mhm.
life goes on, some disappear, some, you know, you got to put some down. It's about 85 cats now that I take care of daily outside at the colonies. And it's an expensive hobby, but I love doing it, and I know I make a difference.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, I got to point out that I miss spoke as far as the title of the record, and it's been bugging me. It's Dying of Everything, not for everything. So there we go.
That's
And that
right.
really bugs me. But this will be for knac.com, as I said. Last
Cool.
question. I mean, we
Yeah.
know about influences, you know, the streams, the new album, the tours, the upcoming tour. What's a particular factoid that we wouldn't that we don't know about you that we wouldn't know unless you disclosed it yourself? And then I'll cut you loose and thank you for your time.
Um, Man, you know, I'm an open book, and it's been so many years in front of the cameras and on stage and on tour and doing majority of the interviews for Obituary. I don't think there's much that fans don't know about me. Um, I played barefoot. How about that? You know, I
Oh,
don't
there
know
you
how many
go.
people know that, but
Yeah,
I started my career as a barefoot player
yeah.
in the early '90s, and then for about 10 years I wore shoes, and for the last 10 years I've been back to bare feet. So
Oh, there you go.
there's a
A
little
little
insight.
factoid. Hey,
Yeah,
Donald, thank you for your time, man. It's been a blast.
right
This
on,
will
man.
be for knac.com. We'll put all the socials and some of the
Great,
Meowlicia stuff on there as well. So thank you for your
awesome, man.
time. Have a great tour. Always a blast seeing Obituary when they roll into Portland, Oregon, man.
Awesome, man. We're gonna see you guys at the Hawthorne Theater then,
Yeah,
man.
it's
See you
sold
soon.
out. It's sold
It
out.
is sold out.
So, all
It
right,
is sold
man.
out.
Take care.
Okay,
Yep, we'll
take it
talk
easy.
soon. All right,
Yeah,
bye.
see ya.